Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Always Good News. It's been a while, and we are back. It's going to be a great conversation tonight. I'm just going to give a few minutes for some people to join us, and we're so glad that you're tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Let me know where you're watching from tonight in the comment box. Just throw the name of your community, your city. If you're here in Canada, your province, or maybe a different country around the world, let us know where you're watching from. And hey, if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe as well. We just actually wrapped up two celebrations with Will Graham, one in Sudbury, Ontario, one in London, Ontario. And I'll tell you what, it was a powerful time, and God really showed himself faithful. I was so excited in London. The celebration was the first major event that wasn't hockey in the stadium. So just so encouraged by that. And 385 people made a decision to follow Christ. So we're so excited about that. Good to see David, Kelly, Rodney, all the way from Sydney, Australia. Good to see you. Good to see everybody joining. Hey, listen, if you want to watch some of those celebrations, check out our YouTube channel, and you can see those both from Sudbury, Ontario, and London, Ontario. Well, tonight on this episode, we're going to hear about Operation Christmas Child. You might know everything about Operation Christmas Child. You might participate. You might know nothing about it. Maybe these boxes look familiar to you. Maybe they don't. But in any case, we are going to have a conversation with Kendra Shields from Operation Christmas Child. So let me go ahead, Kendra, right now, and then we'll have a conversation. So good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us. All right, Kendra, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, awesome. You were frozen there for a second, but I think technology is going to cooperate. So,
I hope so.
so great to have you. Let me let everybody know. I was just setting it up, saying you might be familiar with these boxes. Maybe you're not, but in any case, our conversation tonight hopefully is going to inspire some people who haven't participated to get involved, and maybe those who have long participated but maybe don't know some of the impact that Operation Christmas Child is having. But hey, everybody, let me introduce you to Kendra. She's the domestic field director here in Canada. She's been with Samaritan's Purse since January of 2010, which is awesome. Kendra leads a team of 8 managers across the country. She's based in Calgary at our head office there. And we're going to have a great conversation. But before we do, Kendra, before we jump in, we have a little tradition. It's called This or That, and it's a fun way for people to get to know you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Thanks for joining, everybody. Listen, by the way, if you're just joining, make sure you throw a comment in the comment box. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always great to see what countries, what cities are represented. So here we go. This or that, fall or winter?
Oh, fall for sure.
All right. Pumpkin spice latte or peppermint mocha?
Oh, peppermint mocha, hands down.
All right. You love fall, but you're going for the winter drink. Okay.
I know.
How about this one? Apple or Android?
Oh, apple.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dog, cat?
Dog, for
Dog,
sure.
all right. Are you an early riser or a night owl?
Ooh, I am a learned early riser because
Okay.
work demands it, but naturally I'm a night owl.
Or this time of year with Operation Christmas Child, you have to probably be both.
It is true.
Okay, 2 more. Talk or text?
Oh, talk.
Okay. Last one. Online shoebox or physical shoebox?
Can I say both?
Yes, absolutely. There's no wrong answer.
I'd love to do both. I love shopping and packing traditional shoeboxes, but the online boxes fill a need too. So I love both.
Yeah, awesome. And listen, for those of you watching, if that last question seems random, we will explain a little bit more about that. Kendra, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Operation Christmas Child?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I'm just a girl that had a passion for doing missionary work. I grew up in a pastor's home, and I went to Bible school, and I honestly thought I would probably become a pastor's wife. And then I graduated, and that wasn't going to happen. And so what do? And I spent time discipling high school students and just had a heart for missions. And I actually applied to go serve overseas with my denomination's mission, teaching English as a second language overseas. And my visa got denied. And I found myself with time. And so what was I going to do? And I remembered I had a roommate that was very passionate about Operation Christmas Child. And I'd visited the processing center in Calgary with her. And we had processed the shoeboxes, getting them ready for customs. And I remembered this incredible volunteer opportunity. And I said, why don't I try that? And so I actually applied to serve as volunteer staff the fall of 2009. Spent 3 weeks in the warehouse and with Samaritan's Purse staff, and got to know a little bit more about the ministry and what they were doing, and fell in love with it. And so I decided I was going to put in a resume, even though there wasn't really a job that was a good fit. But on the very last day of processing, they came and said, would you be interested in interviewing for this position? And long story short, December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2009, I got the phone call that said,
So cool.
we would love to offer you this staff position. Best Christmas gift ever.
Wow.
And coming up 11 years. Wow. It's hard to believe.
Wow. So what do you do? Just kind of give us a snapshot of your role, kind of your day-to-day, what your job is with Operation Christmas Child.
Yeah, honestly, I feel so privileged in the role that I am in, because I have this incredible team of 8 regional managers across the country, and they recruit and select and lead a team of over 500 year-round passionate volunteers for Operation Christmas Child. And together, our team is supporting and resourcing those volunteers, as the volunteers are the hands and feet of the ministry, and they are spreading the word about Operation Christmas Child. They're facilitating the collection of shoebox gifts in 10 days or so. National Collection Week begins, but they've worked all year long, building relationships with churches and groups in their communities, and promoting shoeboxes, and telling the story really of what God is doing around the world with shoebox gifts. And so together, this team, small team, but we have an incredibly powerful team with passionate volunteers across the country that make it happen.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, listen, I was thinking it's such good timing to have you have this conversation and be with me on Always Good News, because we love sharing stories of how God is at work. And we are about 50-ish days from Christmas, which is hard to believe. It's coming soon. But these boxes, really, this is, 'tis the season, as they say, these boxes. Can you give us just kind of an overview of what Operation Christmas Child is to somebody that has no clue? They've never heard of it. They might have seen boxes, but have no clue what it's about, maybe how it started, kind of what's the deal with these shoe boxes? What's it all about?
Yeah. Well, Operation Christmas Child started in 1993, so it's been a while.
Wow.
And it was a simple request from a couple in Wales that actually called Franklin Graham and asked if he could rally some people to fill some shoeboxes with toys and school supplies and gifts to send to children in war-torn Bosnia.
Wow.
And 28,000 gifts were collected that year. The beautiful thing I love to celebrate is that year, Canada was the largest sending country of shoeboxes. In year one, we packed more shoeboxes than any other country, but together 28,000 shoebox gifts went to Bosnia. But this incredible opportunity in giving a gift, we all know that giving a gift most often represents demonstrating love in a tangible way. And so Operation Christmas Child saw this, or Samaritan's Purse and Franklin Graham saw this opportunity for Operation Christmas Child to share the love of Christ in a very tangible way.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody had any idea that 28 years later, 188 million children would have received a shoebox gift in over 170 countries. It has grown far beyond what anyone could have imagined, but every shoebox, every single shoebox, it's simple toys, school supplies, hygiene. But over and over and over again, Mark, I have seen it personally with my own eyes, how something that a child wanted that nobody else knew that they would want was in that shoebox that they received. And they have that tangible expression that their obviously is someone who loves them and knows them. And we get to share the message of the gospel as we give them those gifts.
Wow. So people take a shoebox, they fill it, like you said, with school supplies, gifts,
Mm-hmm.
toys, different things. These get shipped all over the world, as you said. And like you said, many times these are things that these kids have wanted or probably would never have access to. And it's just a reminder, I guess, to these kids that, hey, God loves you, and somebody that you've never met and probably will never meet loves you and was thinking about you and has that gift. But it's also, tell us about the opportunities that come as these kids are receiving these gifts, kind of how do they get them in the field? Is it volunteers there? Is it local churches? Is it staff? So if I pack this shoebox full of gifts, it gets shipped to Costa Rica or El Salvador or another country. How does it land in the hands of these kids, and what happens next?
This is what's so exciting for me, in that we take these shoeboxes, they're sent to volunteers in our receiving countries, ministry partners, churches that have said, we want to share the gospel with our community. We want to reach the children in our community. And so we equip them with shoebox gifts and training. They do a gospel presentation, they distribute the shoeboxes, and then we distribute a copy. It's a little storybook called The Greatest Gift, and it clearly walks through the message of salvation that the child can read. It's child-friendly and in their own language, and to me, it's the best bedtime story ever. And the gospel then goes into their home with them alongside their shoebox gift. As big brothers, their parents maybe are reading that story to the younger children, they have a copy of the salvation story. And so it is volunteers on this side of the shoebox and volunteers on the other side of in the receiving countries that are going to great lengths to take the gospel. We say to the ends of the earth. As they're sharing gifts with children.
Wow. So they get a gift, which, I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't matter how old we are, we all love to get a gift. There's nothing like it. But for these kids with, limited access, of course, and a lot of these to the ends of the earth, as you say, to get something like this, and I've seen the videos of, the joy that is unleashed as they open these gift boxes, but it's more than that. That's just, that in itself is beautiful. It's life-changing. But the gospel and how these kids are told the greatest story ever, the message of the gospel, who Jesus is. No doubt, Kendra, in these last, years that you've been working with Operation Christmas Child, you've probably heard some phenomenal stories. Is there one or two maybe that you've had the privilege of hearing that would encourage people that are thinking, what impact does this really make, maybe from one of these foreign countries?
Yeah. Oh,
hard to pick, I know.
I know. There are so many stories. I've seen a little girl who I thought was a boy. And all she wanted in her shoebox was something pink, because she had older brothers and she wore their hand-me-down clothes. And Mark, she opened the lid of her shoebox and there was nothing in it that wasn't pink. It was only pink crayons. It had a princess t-shirt. She had plastic high heels and a tiara. She had a pink dress Barbie. She had everything that was in it. And she came to me and she said, how do you know? How did you know that she wanted something pink? One of the most powerful stories I've heard lately, though, because as you said, it's not just about the gift. It's about transformed lives and children coming to understand that there is a God that loves them and entering into a relationship with him that changes them. Yeah. And in our West African countries, recently a ministry partner had been at an outreach event and he had distributed all of the shoeboxes, but he had 2 shoeboxes left over. And he thought that was a little bit, he just made note that there were 2 left over. He had them on the back seat of his car and he was driving home and he came around a corner and he saw 2 young boys on the side of the road selling food, as they do street food. And he just felt prompted. He stopped, he pulled over, he got out, he went over to talk to the boys. He gave them the full gospel presentation and he gave each of them a box. And he got their addresses and where he could follow up with them, and he went home. And about a couple of weeks later, he decided he was going to phone, and he phoned and he didn't get an answer at one home. And then he called the other home, and he got the father of this young boy. And the father said, I want to talk to you. Will you come to our home? And so our ministry partner went back over into that community, and he went to the home of the father, and he walked into a home that he could tell was grieving. And he started talking to the dad, and the father explained that his little boy, a few days later, after receiving his shoebox, had been back out on that corner selling food again when he had been struck by a vehicle and was killed. And the father's question to the ministry partner was, "What did you say to my boy?" Because that boy came home, yes, with a shoebox, but he came home different. What had you said to my boy? Wow. And the ministry partner had the opportunity to share the gospel with this entire family. And by God's grace, the entire family was transformed because of that simple gospel message that the ministry partner could repeat. So wow. incredible things are happening. Yeah. Another fun, just only our God type of good news story. Had the opportunity to be in West Africa, in Gambia, and twin brothers in the same classroom, and they were in opposite corners as they were opening their shoebox gifts. And the one little boy got a Marvel comic hat, and he's standing up on his chair and he's yelling to his brother in the back of the classroom about his Marvel hat. And they were just so excited about this hat, and he was so excited. And then, you know, they finished up what was happening. I walk outside and I hear this sound coming out of this classroom. And I thought, what on earth has just happened? And so I popped my head back into the classroom, and the little brother in the other back corner had the same Marvel hat. Mark, their boxes came from 2 different cities in Canada. Wow. But brothers got matching hats. Wow. There is nothing about that doesn't scream there is a God that cares about you. That not only one box was from Atlantic Canada, because it was Peggy's Cove was the was the postcard in that shoebox, and the other one was from Ontario. Like, just incredible how wow. God works and is communicating his love to children through simple shoebox gifts.
I love those stories. I mean, it just captures, you know, how Scripture tells us that he cares so deeply and he knows us so well. You know, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and he's fashioned our days for us. And what a practical way that somebody, you know, goes to the dollar store, goes somewhere, buys these things, you know, just trying to, you know, make a difference in a small way. Mm-hmm. And yet God in the details of like only God can. You know, how many times have we heard people say, "Hey, God, if you're real, show me you're real." You know, this is kind of the ache in our hearts to know our Creator. And yet in a beautifully simple way, these shoeboxes have a way to do that. Man, that is, Kendra, that's incredible. Those are hard stories to talk about without getting emotional. I mean,
oh, I tell you, I cry all of the time, but it is just so, do you know what? The very first box I encountered showed me how big God is, and yet how intimately he cares about us. It was even before I was on staff. I was serving in the processing center, and I had some extra time one night. And so they sent me in to process shoeboxes, where we go through and we don't take anything out of the shoeboxes as long as it will clear customs. So we're just making sure that it will clear customs and get safely into the hands of a child. And I opened a shoebox, and I took out on top Barbie, the holiday Barbie from 2009. Glittery dress, purse, shoes, everything. I'm like, this little girl is going to be so excited. And then in the bottom of the box, school supplies, a harmonica, marbles, work gloves, hammer, duct tape, all of these things that I thought, wow, this is, so I checked the shoebox, and it's labeled for a boy 10 to 14. I thought, a Barbie doll in a shoebox for boys 10 to 14. I asked the question, I'm like, should we send it? What do we do? And they said, absolutely. It will clear customs, and it won't harm the child. It won't ruin the shoebox. It goes in the shoebox. And so, again, very important to us to protect the integrity of that shoebox. So I put it in, closed the lid, and Mark, to be honest, I walked out of the processing center because it just kind of bugged me that I'm like, that's not the way it should be. Then I get hired. I come on staff. 4 months later, I'm sitting listening to a report from one of our colleagues who had gone on an outreach event into Central America. And he was talking about this rural outreach that they did. And for the first time ever, they had a lot of older boys in this community. And he was sitting with the older boys and asking them what they would want in their shoebox. And as they started to, talk about the shoeboxes and that they were getting gifts, he noticed one of the boys in particular was really upset. He started to get upset, like, does everybody get a shoebox, etc., asking all sorts of questions. And it came out that his sister hadn't come to school that day. And so she wasn't going to get a shoebox because she wasn't at school. Yeah. And our colleague shared with him, well, it's okay. There'll be lots of things in your shoebox. You're going to be able to share something with your sister. The 2009 holiday Barbie. The first thing that he saw when he opened his shoebox was the 2009 holiday Barbie. And I'm sitting there and I'm just weeping because how does that happen? How? The shoebox that I saw in the processing center. Wow. And that made it, only a handful of our outreach events have Canadian staff or volunteers in attendance. Yeah. It's all done by ministry partners. So the fact that I saw that box and then we saw it in the field, that's incredible. There's 300 shoeboxes. That one. And yet, how big is our God, right? Yeah. That even in the giving and sending of gifts, there was a lesson in there for me in that I can trust him. He has a plan. Yeah. So cool. And I think, people who could be skeptical of this whole thing say, well, what's a shoebox going to do? Honestly, a few gifts, how does that change their life? But it's what it is indicative of. Mm-hmm. The fact that you just said it, there is a God. He does know you. He cares about you. He loves you. And it's just one, it's the open door to the gospel, which changes everything. And man, I'm just so inspired by hearing these stories. And it's not even just the impact, in the field, as we say, but the impact for somebody in Peggy's Cove or somebody in Sudbury or somebody in Grand Prairie, Alberta, or somebody in the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia that goes and does this, not knowing how God will see to the very details of how this is going to play out. So encouraging. Wow. Kendra, tell us how people can be a part of this. We joked earlier about online shoe boxes. We talked about the actual physical boxes. Some people are watching. They're going to be watching on IGTV and on YouTube, and they're thinking, man, I want to be a part of that. I want to have a part to play in giving and seeing God use this. How can they get involved? Yeah, well, National Collection Week starts for us in just over 10 days. So November 15th, National Collection Week starts. And so you can find any shoebox. It doesn't need to be one of our red and green shoeboxes. Any shoebox, a plastic container, fill it with school supplies, hygiene items, a variety of things. Label it for a boy or a girl, 2 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14. And take it to a drop-off location. We have over 300 drop-off locations across the country where people can return them. So if you want to pack a traditional shoebox, you love shopping and choosing the stuffed animal that you send or the skipping rope, there's still time to do that. And we love those traditional gifts because each one is unique. Each one is intended for just a certain child. And our online shoeboxes are also just a great way for people that can't shop or aren't big shoppers. That's a great way for people or families to go online and pack together. And you can even host an online packing party and invite friends and colleagues. And individually we might pack 1 or 2 shoe boxes, but we can rally our friends and together send 10, 12, 20, 100 shoebox gifts to children. So how do they do that online? Is there a website they can go to? Yeah, so they can visit SamaritansPurse.ca/OCC, and you can go to the Samaritan's Purse website, and it's all find Operation Christmas Child and pack a shoebox online, and they can pack an individual box for them. We'll or you can donate and we'll pack it for you, or you can start an online packing party.
Okay, and the deadline's coming. It's like 15 days away when we start collecting. Is that right?
Yeah, for traditional shoeboxes, National Collection Week is the 15th to the 21st, but
Okay.
our online shoeboxes will go right through till December 31st. So if you want to pack online, there's still lots of time.
All right, so get ready with that website in just a second.
Okay.
Listen, I'm going to ask everybody that's watching, maybe you're a student, you're working a part-time job, you can do this. You can do a shoebox. You can actually do this and make a difference, and who knows? Who knows what God will do with your shoebox? You might just think it's a little night out with some friends, grabbing some items, putting it in a shoebox. But who knows if it's twin boys in Western Africa? Who knows if it's a little girl that's been waiting for something to call her own that's pink? God knows the details, and I love it because it reminds me of the story of, the loaves and fishes, and just bringing what we can bring. And when it's brought and given to the hand of God, anything can happen. So here's my challenge. If you're a young adult, you're in college, hey, do something meaningful this season. Pack a shoebox. Maybe you're a business person. You work at an office. Rally some people around your office. Churches, if you're a youth pastor, get your youth group behind it. Moms and dads, what a teachable moment to get your kids, go through the store, pick some things out that are meaningful, and pray over these boxes and ask God to use it to open a door for the gospel and to remind kids that God loves them and is crazy about them and has a plan for their life. What's the website again, Kendra, one more time?
SamaritansPurse.ca.
Awesome. SamaritansPurse.ca. Kendra, it's been, and I hear these stories, but to hear them again and some of these new ones from you is, man, it's super inspiring. And I love how God is using this ministry. Thank you for all that you do and your whole team. And I know it's a busy season for you guys. So, thanks again. And everybody that's watching, SamaritansPurse.ca. Make sure you participate in Operation Christmas Child this year and make a difference. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kendra. Bye-bye.
Bye.